Hey, awesomes. I know you guys are forming teams this week. You guys are thinking about the topics that you're interested in. You're posting that on the discussion board this week, and as well as responding to others with shared interest, right? Trying to get to that magic number, about 5 people per team. And as you get closer to that, I want you to really think about as you're discussing and talking with each individual that becomes your team, as you form that team, come together. I want you to be thinking about the importance of why we're doing this and why we need to be planning. This is just an excerpt from the book. We've also gotten much more information as recently as 2020 with the latest AACU's survey that managers and executives, et cetera, really values college students that come out of university with 2 types of skills: presentation skills and collaborative skills, because it wastes a lot of time. And so one of the things that we're going to do, trying to give you the best opportunity to develop these skills over the next several months. So we need to plan. Planning is super important. I know it's going to seem like you want to jump right into the project real quick, but we're going to take the next couple of weeks after we get teams this week, starting next week with the team charter, really laying the foundation. So I really want you to kind of be thinking about it right now, right? So here are some collaboration methods, right? As you guys are beginning to talk and beginning to think about not just your topic, but how are you going to kind of go about the process? And the book talks about face-to-face, divided, and layered. Obviously, face-to-face is not an expectation right now. I find that most team groups do some sort of version of divided or layered. They both have their pros and their cons. We'll talk a little bit more specifically about those. If your team is gravitates towards divided, which most teams do, I've very successful teams in that. I've also had very successful teams in layered. Layered is different in that one particular person might be really strong with research. Another person is really strong with writing introductions and abstracts. And another person is really good at formatting, right? Knows all the APA stuff, knows how to put the table of contents together, knows how to do all that kind of stuff, right? So they do that. Someone's really good at editing and proofreading and making sure that everything is done, quote unquote, correctly, right? So that's kind of a layered approach. But I want to kind of push your attention to, as you're thinking about this week, as you're putting your teams together, that project management is key. Planning your project management is key, and not just in the sense of, okay, well, here's what we're going to research. How are we going to go about doing it now? Thinking about that now. What's the weekly schedule look like? When are we meeting? How are we meeting? Who's going to be responsible for the meeting minutes? Who's going to be responsible for the meeting agendas? Who's going to send out email reminders? We got to have these things, kind of be thinking about these things and putting these things in place so that the expectations are shared among the group. And that's the part where if we fail to plan that part, then we might fail. All right. Especially with the collaborative environment, especially right now where everybody's in disparate places and we're not actually getting together face to face, and we can't maybe work on some of these things, but we got to have that weekly meeting. We got to have that established time that everyone's getting together and talking about the project and going over and addressing whatever needs to be addressed, planning the tasks, et cetera. Okay. So project problems in the team charter. The team charter, this is kind of a segue into next week, really, but I want you to be thinking about it. So each team, as you get to that magic number of 5 or somewhere around that neighborhood, someone needs to be elected or accept the role of project manager and be thinking about this team charter document. The team charter documents, it sets the priorities and the expectations. It sets what the team is going to do when problems or confusion arises. It sets the tone for the team. This team charter document is not meant to be a document that here's what happens, a disciplinary document necessarily, as much as it is an expectation that everyone shares in planning this thing together, right? So they can work together productively. I really want you to take the team charter seriously, and the project team document very seriously, which we'll talk in greater detail next week when we actually write them next week. But be thinking about who's going to be the project manager, thinking about just as a team, how are we going to meet? What are we going to use? Are we going to be on Zoom, right? Are we going to set up a Microsoft Teams thing, right? Are we going to set up a Google Meet space? Are we going to use Google Docs? Are we going to use something else to help you organize? Be thinking about those things. We'll get more into those details next week, but just wanted to kind of give you that to get you started. All right, guys. Above all, stay safe, stay awesome. Bye.